front of you, I have a few tools. There is a grinder, and a very basic one at that, just a simple 2-stage. In the box, a bit of a magnifying glass here so that we can take some closer looks. Importantly in the binder, a tasting sheet where we can keep notes about what we're tasting today, and a tasting wheel to help us sort of find the word we're looking for a little easier. When we go to the grocery store to select our produce, we do a lot of sensory evaluation. We engage our senses. We do organoleptics. Each of us, unique as we are, also have innate tools for establishing whether or not the thing we're about to consume might be bad for us or good for us, delicious or intentionally bitter. Those tools are our eyes, our sense of touch, our taste buds, our nose, and even more complex, the way that we use our nose actually happens in a couple of ways. In order to achieve flavor, you have to combine taste and smell. And so not only are we inhaling and bringing smell in through the nose, but we're also bringing in through the mouth. Additionally, I put in front of each of you a small jar of coffee beans. Acts as a great reset for your sense of smell and your sense of taste. So when we inhale, we go for that smell, we're gonna open the mouth slightly. I want that air to come across the palate and hit the olfactory bulbs of the nose from the backside as well. And without saying the flavor words out loud, make your first couple of notes about your initial impressions in the packaging still. Let's go ahead and break the nug in half. As you open it up, get a smell of it. And we're gonna load up this grinder. And then once I've loaded it up, I'm gonna give it 3 or 4 back and forth turns, and then leave it closed. Now that we've really opened it up using all of those teeth inside of the grinder, there's going to be a ton of those volatile compounds floating around trapped inside of this guy. And that gives us a unique opportunity to very carefully employ our inhale with technique. How did your notes change from in the jar, so to speak, to breaking it open, to in the grinder? What did you find when you went hunting in there?
The biggest differences in smell that I noticed were between the bag and the ground flower. Where in the bag I smelled like notes of maybe like ginger, black pepper, even eucalyptus. But after the grind, I got way more pine than I was before and less of those other notes.
When I opened up the bag, it was very bright and like lemon and citrusy. To whereas when I feel like when I was grinding it and then opening that, like I got like orange blossom when I was like breaking it up.
But I want to point out that we each experienced sort of 2 classes of scents. This sort of sweet fruitiness over here, and then this sort of pine and metallic sort of wing over here on this side. And I would say that I ended up in those same spots with you guys. So how can bud tenders provide a better recommendation now that the customer has optimized themselves? For that, we need a categorization system, a system that allows us to classify cannabis by its constituent ingredients in ways that allow us to recognize that those smells and tastes that we prefer are these set of ingredients versus these. They produce a graph that is a sort of strain compass, 6 colors that sort of provide buckets. Lots of variation inside of each bucket, but small number of buckets. Ultimately, you'll find sativas, indicas, and hybrid morphologies inside any given bucket. So how do you get good at this? Turns out it's not that hard to get good. And in fact, it's one of those things where you're already probably good about it, you've just never done the structure before. My advice is to approach the rest of your life with the same attitude. Smell everything, taste everything. Just engage and choose a notebook, your cell phone if that's where you want to keep your notes, but find a spot where you can engage in the ritual. And then when you present, perhaps you have more to work with than just a box with an indica or sativa or a hybrid ribbon on it.